Oh my god, it's been so long. This is a crazy little thing called Lovdev. It's a comedy podcast. Today's episode is 109 White Dwarf. This is amazing, right? Even I didn't think I'd be recording another episode. It's been absolutely ages. You're probably wondering what's made you record an episode today. I've had the day off work. I say I've had the day off work. Basically, my eye's been playing up. So occasionally I get a cyst on my eye and it swells up and I usually know when it's coming, right? And I always put like a warm compress on it. So like a little pop bottle or something, put it over there and then the swelling goes down. Fortunately, this time I didn't catch it in time. So I've ended up with my eyes swelling up. I've had to cancel work and I've had the day off. So I've been sat at home and I thought, I need to do something with my life. What can I absolutely do? I mean, I could go and sit down and write material. By the way, I'm absolutely loving writing at the moment. I'm coming up with so many stories. They're really working well. Some bits land, some don't. But, that's the whole new process that I've started doing. Yeah, so it's been too long. I've been up to my usual tricks, Don't want to bore you too much, but yeah. Getting ready for that Black Friday, though. Is anyone getting ready for Black Friday? It's all a gimmick, isn't it? All they want to do is just sell us stuff. We haven't even got any money to buy anything. Everything is so expensive. What they need to do is do Black Friday on food and energy prices. That might help a bit. That would help loads. Yeah, so, I've just been, really busy. I took my daughter to a concert the other night. Some woman, never even heard of her, called Melanie Martinez. I think that's how I say her surname. Never heard of her. Took her all the way up to Manchester. That was interesting. I had to kill time, so her and a friend went up. And I had to kill a couple of hours, right? So I thought, let me go to the local McDonald's that was nearby. There's people in there who just, I reckon they're killing time as well. I saw a woman up there, I think she looked like a tutor, because she had a kid with her. And he was just sat there at the table, doing his own work or whatever it is. And I could tell, he's getting private tuition now. That's what he's getting. And there's me thinking, well, I could have, I took all my gear with me, my writing pad and stuff. I thought I could just sit in McDonald's and write a load of stuff. But then I didn't want people to think I was a weirdo. Who's this guy? I had to kill an hour and a half in there. I think I lasted an hour. I had 2 lattes and then I had a meal. And I'm sure people must have thought, this guy's a bit weird, isn't it? Why is he sat there on his own, eating a Happy Meal? So that's what I've been doing, really. So I thought, it's time we do a podcast, do you know what I mean? I keep paying. I'm useless. I pay for stuff and I never use it. Plus, I like to record my podcast while I'm home alone. So Sheila's popped up to her mum's, luckily. Which means I can record an episode for you guys. Because I just feel a bit awkward if somebody was in the house and you know what I mean? They can hear what I'm talking about. Yeah, and I know she doesn't listen to this podcast, so that's even better. Just you idiots, listen to this. I don't know why. I was looking at the charts the other day and I thought, oh my God, it's been over a month, probably nearly 2 months since I've done an episode. I wonder what number I am in the charts, because I always get this weekly update, like I said before, innit? And this one said I was 89 in the charts. I was like, 89? How have I reached 89? I was out the charts. I was like over 250. Over that, right? And all of a sudden, I'm in the top 100. In the UK, that is, right? I'm thinking, how does that happen? Do you know what I mean? Like, how do you jump? So, like, you start off so little, yeah, and then you keep drowning, basically. That's what I can say. You're like a fish. You're up the top. You're swimming away. You're doing well, and then all of a sudden you hit you hit an iceberg, and then you just keep sinking. Well, all of a sudden, I'm going back up again. Maybe it's the rescue boats. God knows what it is. So I want to do Ask the UK. This question has been posted by other_exercise. And the question is, what makes you worried about strangers taking photos of your children? What makes me worried? I'd be worried, obviously, why are they taking pictures of my kids? That's the first thing I'd want to know. If somebody did that in the street, was just literally come up with a camera, saw your kids, click, 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 and walked off, what would you do? You'd have to run up to them, wouldn't you? Now, the only reason I'm doing this bit is because I was at a gig the other night at a rugby club, just a couple of days ago. Did notice a kid in the room. I did see him walking around in his uniform. But he wasn't like sat down with the audience. He was more or less chilling in the back. And then after my spot, this audience member come up to me and said, "Excuse me, I just need to speak to you." And I was like, okay, she's going to cancel me. You know when someone comes up to you and they look a bit worried, or they look like, they're going to say something. I initially thought she was going to say, "Why did you talk about this and that and blah, blah, blah?" Because sometimes I do get it, sometimes I don't. Anyway, she said, "I just want to know your video film. Did you get my son in it?" And I was like, "No, I don't think I actually got your son in it. It was just me focused on the stage. So you shouldn't get really any audience members. Maybe one or two, but probably not your son." She said, "It's all right. I'm just worried that because she took him out of school early." As she said, "I don't want him to be on the camera in case someone recognises him." And I said, to be honest with you, I wouldn't want him on the camera anyway because he's an infant. Do you know what I mean? So I had to play it back to her. So yeah, look, here's a recording. It's just zoomed and fixed at one point, and you can't see him. You can't really see him at all. She said, "No, that's fine." She was happy with that. So yeah, I do agree with people that you do need to check. If someone is taking photos of your kids, filming is even worse. I don't know, they're both the same. But yeah, I wouldn't want anyone taking pictures. I wonder why this person has asked this question. They haven't actually put any reason why they have said this. Oh, they have, sorry. Other exercise said, "Let me preface. I had photos and videos of me taken by a you-know-what. And they were a teacher. When I was a kid, thankfully, I was never aware at the time and was never inappropriately touched. As a parent of a young child, to be polite, I personally do not take pics of other people's kids without their consent, even if they are playing with my kid." So here's a question which I'm aware is very delicate. Might be a bit too delicate for my podcast, but we'll see. Nowadays, many people seem to be very wary of any stranger with a camera around their children, which is probably what I had that night. Do you know why they might be? Yeah, because I think things are a lot more aware now. A lot of people have been caught out, especially in the media industry and social media as well, because it goes all over the internet, doesn't it? We know what happens, and we know what type of people are sickeningly out there, unfortunately. So I think that is the reason. She says, "Is it, of course, not against the law to take pics of people in public, so it's not a legal issue?" I know in America, you can sue someone, can't you? If they film you or take photos of you, you can sue them? Or is that depending on the states you're in? I remember, ages ago, you couldn't do that in the US, so it was very blurred. But nowadays, when you watch TikTok, people they're not disclosing their faces, are they? They're not hiding them and stuff. Yeah, interesting. I suppose that's why schools have to ask for consent now. So if your child is going to be on the website, shall we say, for the school, or they're taking part in an event and they're taking pictures, they have to ask for consent. So I think it's law abided, basically. That's what that is. It's all against the law and stuff. They've put down, sure, the pics might be used for nefarious deeds, but how does that actually affect the kids? Is it because the kids can't give informed consent? Yes and no. I mean, I hate photos. If I was a kid, I wouldn't want my photo done. So consent around kids is, of course, a sticky issue, and what if they agree to be photographed? Again, this question is only out of my curiosity as to people's objections. I completely respect people's varying opinions on this topic. Okay. Well, I've more or less gave my opinions, I suppose, on this agenda. Yep, I would be worried if strangers were taking pictures of my kids. I would rather prefer some consent and ID for verification. If I was out in the streets, for instance, and I don't know, let's say it's Birmingham City Council. By the way, my council have lost a lot of money. They've gone bankrupt. If they were like, oh, we're going to do a campaign, we'll pay you £1 million, can we take pictures of your kids? I'll be like, yeah, but you haven't got £1 million. But if it helps boost the city, then sure, why not? It's an interesting question. Well, I only wanted to do this one, obviously, because I had that parent come up to me at a gig who really shouldn't have had their child in the audience in the first place, although they were wearing headphones, which is fine. So they couldn't really hear anything negative, shall we say. But then again, how do you know? That child probably wasn't listening to anything on their phone, and really they were just listening to what the comedians were saying, and could potentially become a comedian themselves in the future. I'll tell you who can be a comedian is my missus. So, as the beginning of this recording, I said she's gone to go and see her mother. She turns up in a car literally not 20 minutes ago, and I'm thinking, what are you doing? She said, oh, I had to grab a couple of stuff. I got to make some food for Mom. So I'm like, that means you're going to be here for more than an hour. And now she's buggered off. I think that's what women do. They tell you one thing and they do something else. She's probably thinking, look at him, lazy husband, took the day off work because he's complaining about a cyst on his eye. And there he is, recording a podcast, and now he won't record it because I'm about. Of course I won't record it if you're about. I can't be myself. Do you know what I mean? I'm talking to myself, first of all. I can't just be myself. Yeah, basically, that's what happened. So she should do comedy, because she's a proper clown. Don't tell her I said that. Actually, talking about clowns, I'm going to do a no stupid question. I saw this title and I thought this is a very clowny question. I don't know how anyone's going to take this question, but I did not write it, first of all. That's all I want you guys to know, yeah? So do not go there thinking, I'm going to cancel him now because he said something very inappropriate. That's the trouble with comedy. There's too many people getting cancelled. A joke is a joke. If you don't like jokes, do not go to comedy clubs. So, this question is posted, as usual, on the Reddit page. Just want to plug that. If you don't have Reddit, get it. It's great. This one is by Shombabe. Shombabe? Or it's spelled Xombae. Xombae? I don't know what that means. Anyway, the question is, why are people with dwarfism usually white? That's a very good question. Although not all people with dwarfism are white. I'm sure I've seen, like, Eastern Europeans, I've seen Asia, I'm sure I've even seen black people with dwarfism. I don't know why I'm laughing. Don't get me cancelled. I told you this. Do not cancel me. I have friends with dwarfism. I have comics in the industry who have dwarfism. And yes, they are all white. I haven't met. Oh, no, there isn't. That's a lie. One of them is an Asian. Yeah, one of them is Asian, and he has dwarfism. So, there we go. Not all people with dwarfism are white. I want to know why this person is asking this question. And I will try my very best to answer it with my knowledge, which isn't a lot. I've only got a B.Tech at school. So, the question they ask is gonna preface by saying I mean no offense and might not be using the most recent politically correct terms. I'm trying to, but please correct me if I'm not. Well, at least they are coming across civil. They are coming across that way. They've already apologised like I did. So that's fair comment there, mate. A quick Google says that the gene that causes dwarfism isn't race-specific. So why are white little people... Why has he put white little people? Why didn't he just write, why are most people with dwarfism white? Anyway, so much more common than other races. Watch any movie where they need a ton of actors with dwarfism and they're almost all white. Is it just because white people in general are more likely to be shown in the media? That's probably what it is. A little person or not. Yeah, I think that's what it is, mate. Like, I don't know why. It shouldn't really matter what colour they are on the media. Do you know what I mean? If you look at the old movies like, what is it? Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, for instance. Now, they were all white, weren't they? Well, white and ginger. They had ginger hair. Were they orange? I can't remember now. They were all white, though. I'm sure they were. So, I don't think any of them were any other ethnic in the dwarfism, were they? And then you got others, like there's other movies, like especially Christmas. Yeah, all the elves are white in it. You ever seen a black elf? I've never seen a black elf. Has anyone ever seen? Apart from, is it the movie Bad Santa? I think he's got dwarfism, hasn't he? That guy. Yeah, I'm sure I forgot his name. Apologise. You know who I'm talking about. If you haven't seen the film, it's a great film. Bad Santa. Yeah, because he plays a crook, doesn't he? And then he has a mate of his who's got dwarfism, but he's a black guy and he's a little elf. I don't know why this guy's asking this question. I'll be honest. I know what he's trying to get. But I want to know what other people think, because that's all he's put. Someone commented, because there's lots of white people where you live. That's hilarious. Don't even know where he lives, but there's a lot of white people. Okay, this one seems interesting. I will read this comment by someone who's replied to his. It says, well, I'm not a dwarf, but I have twin daughters, 25 years old, and one of them is a dwarf. Short-statured or little person is okay to say. Just avoid the M word, please. Their mother is also average height, as is my son, their older brother. So consequently, I've been to 3 of the national LPA conferences and at least 5 regional ones for short, saturated people were from all over the world. I've personally met over 200 dwarfisms, and I've been in a room with over 500 on several occasions, regionally in the Midwest. That's the Midwest of the USA. Also in the Midwest and both in San Fran and San Diego. I can say that there are statistically, can't even say that word, just as many black, Asian and other ethnicity diverse dwarves as a percentage of the population at large on the planet. Just because you've not encountered them and Hollywood does not seem to often utilize them, that's the point. It does not mean that they are not fully represented among the population. As for my twins with one average height and the other a little person, we were told they were 13 known pair in 98 where they were born. There you go. Okay, that's a fair comment. That's from a parent who has a child with dwarfism, and they've been to events and have seen other races of people with dwarfism. I would say, yeah, it's probably mainly down to social media, isn't it? Well, yeah, the media. You know, they don't really show much diversity. That's the key word. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. Hopefully, things will change in the future, because there are other people out there that have disabilities or born with in a certain way. Yeah. So hopefully that will answer that question. I hope it does. I really do miss doing this podcast, because I've thought about it like loads of times, but I just never get the opportunity to record an episode. You know, like I said, working or whatever I'm doing. I'm just always busy, man. But I do need to record more, and I do enjoy doing it because it gives me material as well. Do you know what I mean? This podcast has given me so much material to think about and write about, and I do appreciate that a lot. I hope everyone is well. It's almost Christmas. The one thing is, it does not feel like winter. Are we in winter? I think we're still in autumn. I'm not sure when winter officially kicks in. Hold that thought. I do know what date winter actually starts. I quickly paused the podcast and checked on Google. It starts officially on the 21st of December, according to a website which was provided by Google. So the winter is in the Northern Hemisphere. It's 21st. But according to the calendar of Google, it's actually the 22nd, so it's the day after. And that will end on the 20th of March, which seems like a very, very long way. I mean, like, the thing is, I'm in the UK right now, yeah? And it's about 10 degrees at the moment. It's actually 11, according to my PC, saying it's 11 degrees. It just feels warm. Like, we're coming to the end of November, and usually this is when it starts getting like cold. You can tell winter is coming. I've seen flies. That's what's bizarred me out. I was in the kitchen and I saw this fly buzzing around again. I know, I always see them, and I'm like, I do live in a clean house before you start saying my house is manky. I think that's what it is, you know, the flies, man. The flies are telling me that it's too warm for them to survive. Like, I mean, it's not cold enough for them to survive, is what I meant. What are they doing? Like, how do these guys are like, they're built, man, innit? Flies, as much as they are annoying, they just can deal with any weather at the moment. They're probably mutating into something else. Anyway, I've had my flu jab, so I'm ready to go for winter. I think I need something for me eye. I need an eye jab. That's what I need for the cyst on me eye. Anyway, that's sorted now. I feel much better today. It's still there. I can still tell it's there, but I want it to be fine by tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? Because tomorrow is when I've got my gigs again. Got another busy weekend, so I'll be all right. I think so. Let's wrap it up today. Yeah, let's wrap it up with my favourite part of the show. It is the weird news story. Today's weird news story comes all the way from United States of America. How do I know that? Because it's already in the title, which gave the clue away. Now, I always love a mystery story, and by the sounds of it, this is one of them mystery stories, so gather yourselves in. Actually, talking about mystery stories, I forgot to do my Halloween, didn't I? I remembered when it was Halloween. I hope you all had a good Halloween, by the way. I remembered then, I was like, oh, I always do a Halloween special, which no one listens to. Me talking weird and doing like horror. Maybe I should do the late Halloween episode. Maybe I should. Who knows? Anyway, this is the story, which is a mystery, as I said. It comes all the way from the New York. That's where it comes from, New York. Today's title for the weird news story is She lived in a New York hotel for more than 40 years, but her life was a mystery. Sitting in the heart of Manhattan's theatre district on the West 48th Street, the hotel is used to having guests come and go to see the sights and catch a little show. Yet for a few dozen, the Belvedere is actually home. They come from New York, from all parts of the world, decades earlier, and stayed on in rent-stabilized rooms. So as the hotel changed owners, the city changed also around them. One of them was a woman named Hisako Hasegawa. She stayed in room 208. She lived in the Belvedere for more than 40 years, but remained a mystery to those people around her until she died, unfortunately. Hasegawa was born in Japan in 1934. This is what they know so far. She believed to come from New York in the 70s. She was very well liked among the hotel staff. They also recall how they would see her walking through the lobby on Friday mornings with a shopping cart, saying, "All right," to everyone with a big, massive smile. She always responded with a simple act of kindness and thank you letters. So, if you wrote her a rent receipt, for example, you would magically find a hand-drawn card the next day on your desk. This was recorded by Ali Mahmood. Shout out to Ali Mahmood, who worked at the hotels for years. He said someone took literally 45 minutes to make that card. I suppose if you're living in a hotel and you're on your own, you're going to take that long, aren't you? So, a bellhop named Jerry remembers her handwriting. He said it was beautiful, like poetry. I've never seen anything like it. Rene Quigiaro, who lived across the hall from Hasegawa and was perhaps the closest to knowing her, said, "As far as the nearest neighbour, I'm the only one who she talks to, and she knows me name. Quigiaro," she said. She don't say much, except the usual greetings. "How am ya? Is the weather nice? I'm going to get some mail today." Quigiaro often played piano in the evenings after work. Hasegawa could hear the music carrying on through the walls. She used to stop him halfway in the hallway and say, "Thanks for playing that. It was really nice to hear it." Other long-term Belvedere residents, like Nancy Boyce, who shared the hotel's experience with Hasegawa, could understand the way of life she had, because Boise came to Belvedere in the early 1980s, and she moved into an apartment, right, very similar size to Hasegawa. Basically had a bedroom, private bathroom, a kitchen, and a couple of appliances. She said Boise intended to stay for just 1 year, but then realised that it was cheaper for her to rent that than getting a property in New York. So she got married and had a baby and raised that baby in the hotel. But she said it wasn't easy. Interesting. People who don't know, like tourists or friends, they say, "Wow, you live in a hotel in the heart of the city." That's a big deal for them, she said. But a small space wears on her. Having lived here for such a long time, she says, "I can't stand this apartment." She can't stand the place, although she's been there for most of her life. At the end of the day, I feel lucky because she's got a family, she has a wider circle of friends, and she's got a lot of older people. Oh no, sorry. And she says, but she does see why a lot of older people like Hasegawa living on their own, which is very common, I suppose. A lot of old people do live on their own. One of my neighbours, she lives on her own, She's about a similar age, 80-oddish, probably more. Lovely lady, lovely little Irish lady. Yeah, I can understand that. But in a hotel, I think it's just not weird, but you don't expect it. So anyway, at one time, there were many affordable places for single people like Hasegawa, and they could live in New York. And a lot of hotels offered that type of accommodation, right? Single bed, cubicle. So in the mid-20th century, there was over 200,000 units dedicated to single-room occupancy. But by the 1970s, they gained a reputation as hotbeds for criminal activity, and the city started to shut them down. So today, advocates argue that these single room occupancies are not the problem, but a solution to providing affordable housing as the city starts increasing. So one day in 2016, Jerry, the bellhop, he realised that Hasegawa didn't come down. So he went to check and found that she died in her apartment, and she died, unfortunately, at the age of 82. Quigiaro, the guy who played the piano, he came home from work to find the hallway filled with police. One of the investigators started asking questions about about Hasegawa's family and friends. That's when he realised that all these years of living across the hall, she's never seen Hasegawa with anyone else, and that troubles her today. He said, I should have asked her, they think you are intruding or something, but that's always a misconception. He said, I think, he's saying, looking back at it now, he should have spoke to her and, found out a bit more about her, which is a shame, isn't it? He's been there for 40 years in that hotel. That's quite sad. None of the hotel staff remember Hasegawa having any visitors either. New York is a place for the dreamers, and we all come from somewhere, said Ali Mahmood. To leave your family behind, one would hope that you'd find love and meet people. Have a family and maybe not end up alone in a hotel room somewhere. Hasegawa was buried in the mass grave in plot 379, and that's on New York's Hart Island in America's largest public cemetery. That is the end of Hasegawa's life story, which is amazing. And I'm guessing there is loads of people out there who have very, very similar stories. What a shame. Get to know your neighbours, basically. That's what that story means. I always look out for my neighbours, especially the older generation. I always ask if they're all right and stuff. Help them with their bins, the wheelie bins, get them out. Yeah, that's quite sad, that is. Anyway, that was today's podcast. I'm so glad I finally did it. I'm going to do a lot more. I know I say that. And I know you guys are thinking, yeah, he says that all the time. Yeah, well, wait, what? Yeah, next year, mate. Probably will be next year. I do not want it to be next year. I need to do one a week. Lovdev, Barbega. Folks, stay happy. I'll speak to you soon. Thank you for listening to this podcast. Do share it with your friends. It really does help. It does really help. Just share it, man. Just press share. There's a little button. Share. It doesn't matter. Take a screenshot of my things, whatever I do. I don't know. What do I do? God knows. Anyway, let me stop ranting. Just share it.